world continue to face significant barriers to their full participation in the workforce, including discrimination, lack of access to education and training, and the burden of unpaid care work. These barriers are even more pronounced in developing countries such as India, where the women's labor force participation rate remains low. Studies have shown that increasing women's participation in the workforce can have significant economic benefits.
They don't believe that we could be like any other human being. They don't believe that without violence, we can be their friend. Ultimately, a country like Bangladesh, India, Nepal, we all look forward to see that we all are equal in monetary basis. At least equal in food. At least I have 3 times a meal, right?
And so it was really difficult for me to access my power because of the way that people conditioned me and told me that I had to move into the world.
Absolutely all of them without fail were women who are wanting to work either to support an aged parent or to support a child. It was always to burn the stove at home that they wanted to work.
A woman, you don't necessarily have to flaunt who you are. We are naturally quite, ease into it. So you don't have to shout out, I'm so-and-so, so-and-so. Behind each one of us is a powerhouse of, talent and experience.
But even if you're just looking at the Asia Pacific, a whole lot of with the geographical construct, my mainstay, I would say, my main interest has always been foreign policy, so I'll focus a bit of that about women in foreign policy. We've seen that right now there's a huge strategic interplay on political security issues, economic issues. In fact, we also talk about Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, which has 4 pillars, which also has a green pillar, economy and supply chain. But none of that, and I looked a bit deeply, has any sector or vertical which includes women exclusively. There is no inclusion of them in terms of the sectoral issues and no inclusion in them in terms of ideational issues.
Their presence in international trade is still minimal. Women-owned or led businesses are particularly inhibited by social and cultural barriers persisting due to gender discrimination. Similarly, women do not have access to economic resources such as property.
Now, when we talk about women and women in the business space, we completely acknowledge the fact that, we are looking at a very, very nano and micro level. And there's a huge gap between that micro and nano to the next level. And these services are necessarily, does not have a gender inclusive lens in it. And that's the struggle.
So to allow women outside of traditional lending, she would collect data and then create new credit scoring. So we could go to banks or financial institutions and show them that we had a new model to show risk.
We created this unique tool called the CARE Index, Grameen's CARE Index. It is the Credit Appraisal and Review tool. We have added 2 more indicators to that tool. One is the skill and competency, and the second is gender and inclusion.
As soon as there was any discussion about procurement, finance, things that will give her the identity as the seller, she actually looked out for her husband. The main artist, the main designer, the main manufacturer is the woman. But the one you want to speak to, or the one you have to speak to procure and talk about financing, talk about the business part of it, is either the husband or the middleman.
WeConnect International tries to access the Supplier Diversity Fund.
Not about customer satisfaction. That is a given. Customer satisfaction, you will send the goods to a customer will get it, he will get it in the right condition. That is a very given thing. That is expected. But it has to be beyond that. It has to be customer delight.
We need to really do the capacity building. That's what I feel from our experience. Capacity building in skill actually. Most of the women entrepreneurs, because they are home-based and they are in the cottage industry, MSMEs. They're into textiles, So we provide them from time to time, our organization and other stakeholders, in textiles and hand weaving, the jewelry making, these kind of things, so that they know they have a basic skill, but they need to really kind of upgrade and upscale and do the finishing which we're talking about, the greater quality which they want to export and reach to the right market.
The manufacturing sector contributes to around 15-16% of the economy. It employs about 12% of the workforce. But the potential of this sector is that in a couple of years it could be as large as 25% of the sector. So clearly a sector that is poised for growth. The other interesting thing is that it's by and large it's one sector which can grow immensely. There are a few emerging sectors in manufacturing which are of interest. There's of course electronics, semiconductors. There's a whole lot happening in the space of electrical vehicles, sustainable energy, batteries, and so on. So all the new age industries, there's a whole lot happening there. Another interesting element which defines women in the sector is how Industry 4.0 and Industry 5.0 is changing the sector. What it really means is that there's far more technology today in the sector, which in a way helps make the sector gender neutral.
The National Skill Development Corporation has created firstly what's called for every sector, bioenzyme, handicraft, livelihood, training, paper, printing, chemical, lubricants, castrol, every sector that you can think of, there is a sector skill council. The most obvious sector skill council, or what you all know, is ITITS, that's NASSCOM. NASSCOM has an ITITS sector skill council. Every sector has a sector skill council. In the sector skill council, there are what is called gradation of skills. There are 10 grades starting from lower level 1. A lower level 1, for example, in a logistics sector skill council would be a picker, somebody who's actually doing the pickup and delivery job. For a beauty sector, it will be the what's called the basic level of beauty worker, which is like, and then it goes into specialization, hair and cosmetics, whatever. So whether you're making cosmetics, whether you're opening a beauty parlor, there is a sector skill council. So there is now also a curriculum guideline for women entrepreneurs, and that is available on the MEPSC Sector Skill Council. Even if you are not interested or you don't want any of the sector-specific skills, there is something called an employability, life skills and entrepreneurial skills. That's available again across all sectors.
Do we have enough women to occupy by their right of training, skill, attitude and behavior? Women bring empathy, which goes a long way in creating the inclusive work environment, because they don't promote another man. How did I feel? Women possibly bring in the inclusivity, and women promote democratic leadership.
One part of it is my identity. The other part of it is how do I deal with how people respond to me, and how do I choose to respond in these situations.
Leadership is taking everybody, including everybody in your team, and leading them to success in society, inclusion, where bringing the strengths of men and women together. As a women, we should make the table long for other women to participate and promote them.
Do what you like to do, if possible. If life gives you the luxury of doing what you want to do, it will be easier for you.
You work, and we just don't have as much time for family. And we're realizing that we want that more. A bit of it is about how do I regulate my emotions? So if I see you and you look a bit upset, maybe I'll ask you, hey, is everything okay? Before I tell you the 10 things that I want you to do for me.
If I'm standing here, you can tell something's wrong versus if I'm open and like smiling. I think it's important to take space for yourself. And those little breaks really do help you get through a day, or they help you reset.
I just tell myself I am what I am and I'm happy with it.
How do you get to find language to say how busy and stretched you are?
25 women in plumbing, and we've certified them under Skill India. We are working with children one-on-one and also in a group.
Of mine is reach out to high school, reach out to university level students, and just make them write about what their perception about this is, about how they see the role of a woman. The whole thing about the mother caregiver is absolutely fine. There is no contradiction in that, but they also need to be aware of the fact that there's a greater existence to that.
He's trying to build a similar network of women leaders and entrepreneurs, women leading the workplace, being the theme.
Conversation about how women can lead in workplaces. Network a lot, and we are also learning many business tactics. We have met new people.
This workshop is a big umbrella. It was a wonderful and eye-opening session, and very inspiring to see all these women how they have achieved so much.